On December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, America was plunged into war by a sudden and devastating attack. Amid the fire, the smoke, and the chaos of Pearl Harbor, an ordinary man, someone who was never even trained for combat, rose to the occasion and became an extraordinary hero. This is the story of Dorie Miller, a man whose courage defied all expectations. Doris Miller was born on October 12, 1919, in Waco, Texas. He was the son of sharecroppers, Connery and Henrietta Miller, and grew up in a world where opportunities for African Americans were severely limited by the harsh realities of segregation. He was a strong kid, known for his physical prowess and disciplined nature. He played fullback on his high school football team and was a skilled boxer. Seeking a better life and a way to see the world beyond rural Texas, Miller enlisted in the United States Navy in 1939. However, the Navy of that era was a reflection of the segregated society it served. African American sailors were barred from most roles. Instead of being trained as a gunner, an engineer, or a navigator, Miller was assigned to the steward's branch. His official title was mess attendant, third class. His duties were to serve meals to officers, shine their shoes, and keep their quarters clean. It was a role that offered little dignity and no path to advancement. But Dorie Miller performed his duties with the same quiet determination he had applied to everything in his life. He was eventually assigned to the battleship USS West Virginia, a mighty vessel considered one of the jewels of the Pacific Fleet. On the morning of December 7, 1941, the USS West Virginia was moored at Fort Island in Pearl Harbor. It was a calm, peaceful Sunday morning. Dorie Miller had just finished serving breakfast and was collecting laundry when the first alarms blared across the ship. The serene Hawaiian sky was suddenly filled with the roar of Japanese aircraft. The attack had begun. Bombs and torpedoes slammed into the American fleet. The USS West Virginia was hit almost immediately by multiple torpedoes, tearing massive holes in its hull. Explosions ripped through the decks, sending shrapnel and fire everywhere. The ship began to list heavily, its crew thrown into a terrifying battle for survival. Men were killed and wounded instantly. In the midst of this inferno, Dorie Miller's training as a mess attendant was irrelevant. His instincts as a human being took over. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed to his assigned battle station, an anti-aircraft battery magazine, amidships. But when he got there, he found it had already been destroyed by a torpedo hit. The air was thick with smoke and the screams of his shipmates. Instead of seeking cover, Miller ran directly into the heart of the chaos. He began carrying wounded sailors, including the ship's captain, Mervyn Benyon, who was mortally wounded, to safer parts of the ship. He braved the fire, the rising water, and the constant threat of explosions, single-handedly moving men out of harm's way. Then, through the smoke, he saw an unmanned 50-caliber anti-aircraft machine gun. The gunners had been killed. Dorie Miller had never been trained to operate such a weapon. As a mess attendant, he wasn't supposed to even touch it. But he didn't hesitate. He climbed behind the gun, figured out how it worked, and began firing at the attacking Japanese planes. Witnesses later described the incredible sight: a mess attendant, standing tall and exposed on the deck of a sinking battleship, laying down a steady stream of fire against the enemy. He fired until the gun ran out of ammunition, only stopping when he was explicitly ordered to abandon ship as the West Virginia began to sink into the harbor mud. In that moment, Dorie Miller wasn't a cook or a cleaner. He was a warrior, a defender, a hero. The USS West Virginia sank, but Dorie Miller survived. His selfless actions had saved countless lives. In the initial aftermath, his bravery went officially unnoticed. The Navy's first report only mentioned the heroic actions of an unnamed Negro sailor. But news of his courage spread quickly among the survivors and eventually reached the mainland press. The story of the mess attendant who manned a machine gun captured the nation's imagination. The public, and particularly the African American community, demanded that this hero be identified and honored. After significant pressure, the Navy finally named him. On May 27, 1942, in a ceremony aboard the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise, Admiral Chester Nimitz, the commander-in-chief of the Pacific Fleet, personally pinned the Navy Cross on Dorie Miller's chest. It is the Navy's third highest award for valor in combat. Miller was the first African American to receive this prestigious honor. Dorie Miller became a national symbol. His face appeared on recruitment posters, and he was sent on a speaking tour across America to boost war bond sales and morale. His bravery challenged the very foundation of segregation in the military. He proved that courage and patriotism were not determined by the color of a person's skin. His actions became a powerful argument for civil rights leaders who were pushing for the desegregation of the armed forces, a change that would finally come a few years after the war. Despite his heroism, after the tour, Miller was not promoted to a combat role. he was assigned back to duty as a cook. In the spring of 1943, he was assigned to the newly built escort carrier, the USS West. He was now a cook, third class. On November 24, 1943, during the Battle of Macon Atoll in the Pacific, the USS West was struck by a single torpedo from a Japanese submarine. The torpedo hit the ship's aircraft bomb magazine, triggering a catastrophic explosion that tore the vessel apart. The ship sank in just 23 minutes. Doris Miller was among the 644 crewmen who were killed in action. He was only 24 years old. Doris Miller never asked for recognition. He never waited for orders or permission to do what was right. When his shipmates were in danger and his country was under attack, he answered the call with unwavering courage. He stood against fear, injustice, and overwhelming odds, and in doing so, became a true American hero. Today, his legacy lives on. Ships, schools, and parks have been named in his honor. In 2020, the Navy announced that a future Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier, one of the most powerful warships ever built, will be named the USS Doris Miller. It is a fitting tribute to a man who, on a day of tragedy, showed the world the true meaning of heroism. Doris Miller's courage will never be forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more true stories of incredible heroes, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next video.